Go to each table and ask you to do two things. If you first of all would read your poem, because there are different poems, so not everybody's going to read the same or hear the same poem. So read a few words of the poem, read the short poem, and then give the answer, and I'll write up your answers. So I know a few tables said give me a couple more minutes, so I'll go to them last. I'll also give the microphone, so whoever's speaking is both recorded and heard.
So the poem is called Rivers of Love. I would love to sing it for you, but we'll just say it today. Rivers of love, ginger and spice, everything nice. A little bit of honey makes you happy. A sprinkle of salt on a curry sauce, and a strong taste of thyme and grounded garlic gives a taste of loyalty. Communication should flow like rivers of love and happiness, which brings honesty that leads to loyalty. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, Margaret. What was your question and what was your answer?
So the question was, what actions...
What number?
Question 5, sorry. What actions could your organisation or community take to increase the employment, engagement or participation of members of the black and minority ethnic communities, including travellers and Roma? And because we have 3 different organisations here, and because 3 of us are from Errigal College, we picked Errigal College as our community. So we all decided that Errigal College could put an emphasis on staff training awareness and student training awareness around ethnic minority, around the issues that we just mentioned there today. So to celebrate our ethnic diversity, to celebrate the many cultures we have in the school, and to raise awareness of the of all the good things that are happening, but also the obstacles that are happening, and the prejudice, conscious and unconscious, that are very, just to raise awareness. Because once we're aware, we can no longer hide behind things. We also mentioned having intercultural festivals, but not just like we recently had a beautiful festival of food. And we have 30 different cultures in the school, and we had a fantastic festival of food from all the various countries. But we do that on an annual basis, but we were saying that it would be a lovely thing that in the canteen every single day, or at least regularly, there's different foods.
There's 12 tables.
Sorry. Oh, one more! More youth participation, and I was just about to sing you a song, but there's 12 tables, so... Where's it?
Right, we'll start with this recipe. Stability, 4 beans, 3-course meal. In motherhood, support is found. Music boosts the stamina of courage, and positivity lights up brighter than stars. Starter, in order to get to courage, you need to grind the chilli, fry the prawns, add your garlic and celery to get the perfect starter, a spicy life. Main course, to support the starter and fill your stomach, sprinkle pepper chilli on a freshly cooked bowl of rice and enjoy the connection of friendship. Not too much of sea salt on your grilled gizzards, just so your relationship with her will not turn toxic, if you know what I mean. Dessert, to end your day and heavy meal, a dash of cinnamon on a slice of cake keeps happiness and positivity tasting better than steak. Lastly but not least, beans for more protein and stability. And that was Ali, Elshama, Candice and Rona. Okay. Our question was question 3. What steps could your organisation, company, group, community take to challenge our own bias, conscious and unconscious? So, seeing as we're all from Life Start, we're working from that organisation. So I suppose firstly we needed to recognise and acknowledge that we all have bias. Being aware of... Sorry?
Could I just ask what question number?
Number 3. Okay, so that we recognise and acknowledge that we all have bias, being aware of what triggers our bias, and from an organisation point of view, working from a strengths-based perspective and continuously reflecting on our practice daily helps us to work through bias. Educating ourselves around other cultures and balancing respect for those cultures while working within Irish law, being accountable to children first, training, continuously upskilling around intercultural differences, which are forever changing. And lastly, having an open forum at work so that we can challenge each other's biases as well.
Respect love. So take a pot of love, rinse it in a water bath of recognition, add kindness to take out the dry-hearted, pour in respect, add a pinch of patience, and let simmer with loyalty. A sense of belonging has been created. Respect love to create a sense of belonging, and that was NK, Joey, Bridget and Alan. And our question was question 4. Name 3 actions we could take at county level to promote inclusion and respect for difference, ethnicity, ability, sexual orientation, gender, etc. So I suppose most of the people at this table are part of the FRC network and one representative from the ETB, so we've gone with the network. We thought we could do an awareness campaign, and as a network we could do staff training, but maybe also looking into the educational settings and doing some training through there as well. More online resources made available through our social media, maybe doing some campaigns, and then also creating multilingual documents readily available and updating our policies and procedures within our FRCs to make them multilingual as well, in terms of if there was a complaints process, to have them available for all different nationalities.
The poem is Kindness is Free. Kindness is free and very sweet. Sweet and delicious. Tasty like a cooked turmeric rice. Combined with some nice hot chilli, season with some curry sauce, mix it with some soft beans. Kindness is yummy. Please let's serve it. Oh, thanks. Thanks very much. Question 3, I think we've already looked at question 3, and we looked at steps we could take to challenge our own bias, conscious and unconscious. And we had quite a detailed conversation about how do we know if our bias is unconscious. And we also spoke about, well, by broadening our education and raising awareness can help us to bring that kind of to the forefront and to make it conscious for us. Trying to get as much feedback as possible from all of the communities that we work with and reflecting on our own practices and looking at representation within our organisation itself. And we also said it was really important for us to acknowledge and celebrate the work that we already do and that we have in place and the successes of this, but then how do we create more of that? How do we continue that success, and how do we make it broader and as inclusive as possible? Thanks.
Why very loud. So what does diversity mean for your organisation? So we said inclusiveness for all minority communities, or communities for all communities, I suppose. The promotion of an anti-bias approach to our work. So what we mean by that is that we're open to learning from other communities, that we can respect and learn, because nobody is able to know everything about every minority, culture or community that exists. So we have that openness to learning from one another and to celebrate difference. That goes a long way to making sure that the organisation is culturally diverse. Visibility of minority communities, both as recipients and as deliverers of services within the organisation.
Our poem is called Peace Blends Well with Equality. Peace blends well with equality at a huge quantity of cooperation, a generous portion of respect, a sprinkle of trust and an abundance of saying sorry when you are wrong. You will have a strong taste of a better world. And then our question was question 4. I think it might have been done already. So name 3 actions we could take at county level to promote inclusion and respect for difference, ethnic, ability, sexual orientation, gender, etc. And our answers are kind of similar. The first one is training, more education within schools, and networking events focusing exclusively on inclusion.
So we had question 3. What steps could your organisation, company, group, community take to challenge your own biases, conscious and unconscious? So it was mainly youth services here for mental health and Froga. So just adding to some of the points raised already. Again, training and awareness for staff, our use of our language and being aware of it. Hearing the voices of young people in particular about what's their lived experience, and working with that, and not having it as tokenism, but integrating that learning through our individual organisations and the work we do together. Continue to link with new communities and intercultural communities, be open to learning. And I suppose in terms of the other pieces around us, as some of us are supervisors or managers, when we are in spaces with our colleagues to bring it to each other's attention, what are these unconscious biases, and challenge, try to understand and work with that, so it's to bring about change, because ultimately that will transfer onto the people that we're working with.
Okay, so we had question 5, so it was what actions could your organisation, company, group, community take to increase the employment, engagement, participation of members of the Black and minority and ethnic communities, including travellers and Romas. And I suppose some of the things we just talked about is, about Tusla maybe nationally pushing for the professional registrations and recognition of the qualifications. That's already been mentioned as an issue. So trying to feed that up the line so that we could push for that at national level. Also, I suppose around trying to be proactive and take affirmative action, maybe the idea of a sponsorship scheme for new communities for college places or training programmes that would relate to jobs in our agency. And then I suppose in relation to participation, I mean, I know there is going to be a drive in the coming year about developing a parents forum, and maybe that could be one way that we could look at participation, engaging people from different communities in a parents forum.
So again, that's question 1. What does diversity mean and for your organisation? For we at Inishowen Development Partnership, in terms of our CYPSC programmes, it's all very much about being inclusive of all people within our community when it comes to running programmes, supports and connecting communities, regardless of gender, age, socio-economic background, ethnicity or age, and to celebrate those when they take place as well.
So our poem is Kindness is Free. Kindness is free and very sweet, sweet and delicious, tasty like a cooked turmeric rice. Combined with some nice hot chilli, season with some curry sauce, mix it with soft beans. Kindness is yummy. Please, let's serve it.
So we had, question 2. So it was what one thing could your organisation, company, group, community do to be more inclusive of diversity? And we've just said about researching about the culture of the families that we're working with, and not to be afraid to ask the families also some questions, and having access to interpreters and translating documents as well for families as well.
We have question 2 here. Poem's been done already. So what one thing could your organisation, company, group, community do to be more inclusive of diversity? So we had a few things down, but I suppose kind of combining them as visiting groups, talking to different ethnic minorities and asking them what they want or need instead of assuming, thinking what they need, and then I suppose following on from that, informing and educating staff so they know about it, and it wouldn't be just like a one-off thing, it would be continuous, it would be ongoing. That's it. And
people may have heard I couldn't make out what was going ahead of me, and I took a detour, got lost, was an hour late. I can't claim for the extra hour, but what actually was happening in front of me was a protest. Supposedly local people, and on the radio as I was driving, there was call after email after text saying, not in my name, these aren't my residents, these aren't my neighbours, this is not the East Wall that I know. And what I'm talking about was a protest about people from the asylum process being housed in accommodation. We have that challenge here, and we have that challenge now in a very real way. I know, and I'm looking at Liam out of the corner of my eye, well, we've been part of the response forum addressing the war in Ukraine crisis and the welcome and the support and the challenge that brings to the county. And we have been a voice saying this is a challenge to us as people in Donegal, because we have to make sure that we welcome, we have to make sure that we explain what's happening, and that we don't leave a vacuum, we don't leave silence, because that vacuum, that silence is occupied by others, and it's our responsibility to echo the sentiments that you reflected in those poems and in the suggestions that you give to counter those negative tales, those negative responses, those who want to make hay and take advantage of the stress and the pressure that we're all under. We have all of this against the background of the cost of living issues. No longer spoke about the housing crisis, spoke about GPs and medical waiting lists and so on. Our systems were very often in many ways broken before anybody else arrived here, certainly before any of the Ukrainian community arrived here. So it's sort of acknowledging that and saying, look, we have to do better, we have to welcome, we have to support, and we are, at the end of the day, all part of one human race. And I think that's our message and our responsibility. So thank you for taking part. I'm going to take these 2 sheets. I told Anne I was going to photograph them, but only I can read my handwriting. So if I photograph my handwriting, I'm never going to get it. So what we will do is we'll just send back some of those suggestions back into CYPSC, because there were some really interesting, and I think what was also interesting was the difference that different questions got in terms of the response. The one thing I suppose I will say about all of these is there is what we call a requirement for us to think about ourselves. We all carry bias. We all carry our own views and opinions and responses to things. And I think that's where we have to start. We have to be thinking about, how do I feel about this? Well, how can I address this? And some of the responses about continued reflection, questioning yourself, questioning your work colleagues. That's really, really part of it. Last thing I'll say is that we are, as an organisation, in partnership with Donegal Travellers Project and the Donegal Local Development, with a Rethink Ireland funded project called Think Equality. The purpose of that project is to bring public sector duty, a 2014 Act that really has not met with the amount of implementation that it should have. We had a workshop yesterday where somebody posed the question, look at child protection regulations and legislation, look at safeguarding and the importance that has in every organisation. Why can't we take the same attitude and the same importance and put that onto issues like positive duty, the act of not just discriminating, but actively making sure your organisation is inclusive. So hopefully over the next year or so, there's an opportunity for that sort of training to take place in organisations like the Family Resource Centres within TUSLA and other organisations. So that's a chance to really have more time to reflect, but also put in place steps and actions. Final word is, we have a brilliant strategy now. This man, Liam, launched it 25th of March 2022 in Algrian Theatre. And that's the Black Minority Ethnic Inclusion Strategy for Donegal. It's a blueprint for now until 2026. I'm shocked and slightly embarrassed at how often the Intercultural Platform, me and Nulunga and our 13 board members, are named in that. But I think we are all named in that strategy, because we all carry responsibility as an individual, as a resident, as a citizen, and a member of the organisations that we're part of. So if you haven't got a copy, contact Liam and his colleagues, and if you have got a copy, take that back to your workplace and see how can we begin to take steps to implement this. Thank you very much.